Hello, welcome to this video. This is part 2 of a video that I made a little bit ago. I said I was going to go into flow with the guides. This video I really am. So thank you so much for tuning in, sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness. I wanted to, again, go into flow with the guides and also just kind of share. All I'm doing when I go into flow with the guides is tuning in or expanding out into my higher vibrational field. And it just feels really good when I do that because I'm going into my heart space and I'm just opening to what I refer to as my higher guidance team. I do energy work, energy healing, energy integration, whatever we wish to label it. And I do intuitive readings as well. And so when I'm reading somebody's field, it's also that same thing of expanding out the vibration and seeing what comes through that heart-centered awareness. We all have these abilities. We just all have a different flavor or unique way of expressing them. So this is my expression through these videos. So thank you for tuning in, and here we go. And so movement becomes very important in these now times, for we are moving, yet it seems as if we are stuck in the muck and the mire as described in the previous expression. Many of us feel as if we are lost. I was referring in my last video to the bog of eternal stench. If you haven't seen the labyrinth, it's an oldie but goodie. Many of us are feeling lost and stuck, moving through mud, molasses, one might say, yet not as sweet as such. And yet we are here as a collective of frequencies and energies that are no bigger than, I'm seeing like itty bitty, like these little sparkles that are in this picture. Sometimes this is what our guides look like. It's like Tinkerbell. For we are a collective of energies and frequencies that coagulate, if you will, into a spectrum of colors, sounds, and vibrational tunes, one might call us. And when you open and expand into your heart, when you open and expand your energy from your heart, I'm hearing the path of least resistance in that sense, you end up expanding out, and you connect in with a geometry or a frequency or a collective of energies, so on and so forth, that are part of this reality. Even though it may seem as if we are from another reality, another dimension, another place in space, this is not always true. For each of us is buried, is a play on words, within you. We are all connected through this quantum expression of divine intelligence. We are all expressions of divine intelligence, even though it may seem as if many currently are not speaking very divinely or intelligently, for that matter. Many of us find the brashness, if you will, I'm seeing like gruffness of what's happening. It's like when a scouring sponge is what I'm being shown. And it feels uncomfortable and it feels distant from who we are meant to be at the core. And we would venture to say, lighten up, for who we are at the core is light. We are a vibration and a frequency that is felt within the geometry, acuity of the heart, if you will. Some may argue that geometry is man-made and mathematics is not a way to interpret divinity. And we would say that from one perspective, that may be true. If that fits, I'm seeing if the shoe fits. But what I'm being shown is, let go of the shoe. Go barefoot, be free. Let's play. Let us play with alchemy, for with alchemy there is chemistry, and with chemistry there are numbers. But those numbers are a human interpretation of mathematics and quantum physics and all of that allows the human to understand the mapping of reality. Yet the mapping of reality is not required to be understood by the human architect, by the human architecture, by the human logistics, if you will. Yet it is used as a system. to interpret how and what reality is and how we perceive reality and so on and so forth. And so we would invite you to see beyond that. We would invite you to see beyond the perception, if you will, that has been projected into your, I'm hearing percentage of understanding. For the percentage, a mathematical equation of what you understand can only be perceived based on how expansive and open you can be. And no matter how open and expansive a person, I'm hearing percentage, appears, there's always more than meets the eye. There's always more, bigger, awarenesses and stages of frequency and reality that we have yet to even come close to perceiving. And so for those of you who are seeking answers through the mathematics or divine scheme of things, continue, for this is an advantageous pursuit, especially if you find it fun and advantageously expansive and co-creative. Yet if you are harnessed to it and it is no longer carrying you forward, we would invite you to try something different. Perhaps look at things from artistic and I'm just seeing a different frame, like stepping outside of the box, if you will, that has been framed or that you have cut out, or the boxes that you have each been poured into. We would invite you to move into a different box, if you will, one that has more fluidity, one that has less rigidity, one that has more community, one that has more divinity, one that has more omnipresence, one that is more full, if you will, or fuller of presence. It is full of gifts that have yet to be opened. For each of you is opening a new door, if you will. You have entered into a new door. Even as you watch this video, even as you listen to these words, there is energy and frequency that is pouring through you, that is pouring into you, that is pouring out from you. For you are the cube, you are the frame, and you are the square that one might say is holding the gifts that have yet to be displayed. And so we would invite you to tune in from the inside out. We would invite you to let go of the frame that you feel safe within from one perspective. And I'm being called to play with that. Like, you have a perspective, it's in here, that's your one perspective, open that box. And I'm being shown again, all of the corners on the box opening, and it's a plane, and then it's no boundaries kind of thing. And this allows you to create more boundaries. It allows you to see with a more expanded view from your periphery, from behind, from above, from below, from all around. It gives you a 360-degree view, if you will, of you. For you are the view, and the degree in which you view reality that is pouring through you comes from your own view of how it is that you perceive reality pouring through you. For are you pouring a cup half full, or are you filled up, if you will, and complete in your knowledge of how reality works? Are you full of yourself? From one perspective, we would invite you to play with this a bit. Or have you gone the other direction, where you feel unfulfilled? You feel as if your cup is never full. You feel as if the world around you is empty. We would invite you to see past this and see into this with clarity. Feel into the fullness of the reality that you have yet to perceive. For there is much more that is hidden from view. And this is why we encourage you as an offering, if you will. This is a play on words. I'm seeing we're offering this message as an offering energy, but I'm hearing the ring, furring, like there's a play on words with that, like the rings of, okay. We are offering a frequency that invites the listener and the traveler, if you will, through these waves of energy to perceive more, to open the heart to the door, or open the door to the heart, or to walk through the door that has already been opened. I'm hearing through the four, through the foyer, foyer, right? I'm seeing like the four, again, cube reference, even though cube isn't four, but the fourth density, the fourth dimension, all of this, the four folds. And we invite you to open the door, for within these landscapes of reality that each and every one of us is perceiving, that we are receiving, that we are offering, I'm seeing a telephone, and I'm seeing the one ring to rule them all, and I'm seeing the rings around the tree, and I'm hearing ring my bell, and I'm hearing ring of harmony. We would invite you to see through this projection of reality that you have poured yourself into. I'm hearing pour some sugar on me. I just recently spent a couple days in the ocean and by the beach, and a couple boaters were playing that song in the background. Ironically, I was talking about opening the throat and the ears in my previous video, and the name of that is Def Leppard. I think the band that sings that, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Anyways, we're playing. For as we play with words, and as we play with songs, and as we play with ideas and concepts, it allows every person to sing along in their own way, if you will. Even if you don't know what words to say, we would invite you to access your own inner song. For as you feel into the frequencies of playfulness, it will help you refill your cup. It'll help restore your own sense, your own senses, to sense when you have been filled up. For many people are desensitized and unsure of what lights their flame, so to speak, what it is that they can open to in order to feel more fulfilled. Many people are not sure for their lack of resources, their lack of ability to feel into their own resourcefulness, and their lack of ability to line up with how they, I'm being shown how to feel resourceful. How do I feel that way? I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to get what it is that I'm looking for. Some people are not recognizing that, like, they're so focused on their cup being half full that they're not recognizing that it's actually, half empty, that it's actually half full also. And so it's like kind of, I'm hearing reorganizing how and redistributing how it is that we are quantifying our experience. Okay, I'm being called just briefly to play with that. Okay, obviously when we quantify something, right, we're giving it a number, we're adding it up, we're saying, okay, this is equal to that. Ooh, that's what I was trying to say. This is equal to that. So if you look it up on quantification in the science realm, it says in mathematics, it's the act of counting and measuring. Ooh, I get it. Okay. That maps human sense, observations, and experiences into quantities. It is in this sense is fundamental to the scientific method. Okay, but let's play with that. So quantification, acts of counting and measuring. How far is something? How much is in my cup, right? How far away is it for me to get there? Why hasn't it happened yet? So this is mapping the human sense observations. But what is an observation, right? An observation refers to the acquisition of information, okay, from a primary source. It involves the act of noticing or perceiving phenomena and gathering the data based on direct engagement with the subject of study. I didn't realize that. So you're engaging with it, you're observing it. And it's interesting because this is tying together my previous video in which I spoke about, I always share what I've learned is recognition and acknowledgement. So it's recognizing, and I'm going to go into that a little bit as well. So when we recognize something and when we acknowledge it, in a sense, we are having a direct engagement with it. We're shifting our frequency around it and we're not buffering it out, right? And then it says maps human sense, observations, and experiences into quantities. So experience refers to conscious events in general, which I think sometimes we can have an experience unconsciously, but or to perceptions, the practical knowledge and familiarity that is produced by these processes, understood as a conscious event in the widest sense. Experience involves a subject to which various items are presented. I'm being called to play with this. So when I feel like when we're having an experience, we're actually, we can have an experience out of body, but what we're meant to do is really embody our experiences, and then we can quantify our reality based on that. So it's observations, experiences into quantities. And a quantity can exist as a multitude or magnitude, which illustrates discontinuity and continuity. Quantities can be compared in terms of more, less, or equal by assigning a numerical value, multiple of a unit or measurement, mass, time, distance, etc. Okay, so let's play with that, because we're the ones that are quantifying our experience. We're the ones saying this is not good enough. We need to do better. But what I'm being shown is I've been saying for a while now, the numbers are off. Part of the reason the numbers are off is because our identification with numbers and with what we think on a, let's say, spiritual level or a financial level or whatever it may be isn't correct, because we're not valuing ourselves enough. We're not actually saying part of this cup half full or cup oftentimes has to do with our own lack of self-value, self-worth. And so in the grand schematic, if you will, the grand scheme of things, many of us have been on automatic. We have been going through our daily lives and thinking that we had no support, lack of support. We're in a space of not necessarily feeling and over analyzing. And this has created an imbalance. I'm kind of going into a different direction here, but we'll keep playing with this. I'm being shown a football player that's miscalculating how far to throw the ball to get a touchdown. They keep falling short of the actual touchdown. And part of this is us not utilizing our full resources. And part of this human experience and our resources is not about quantification. It is only interpretation of our environment and what we feel is our resources that is causing us to feel a lack of resources. Therefore, we are not interpreting our environment with all of our resources. We are using an analytical, logical, outdated system. I'm being shown a VHS or an 8-track to listen to sound when we could be using something totally different. Many of us are stepping into a world where we feel as if we must rely on AI, as an example, to quantify our experience. Yet we are encouraging you as a collective of frequencies and energies that make up the ocean of the physical experience and the non-physical through this quantum entanglement, we might say. We are encouraging everyone to tune back into your own, I'm hearing morality. So we could play with that, because what rhymes with morality? Mortality. So there's a play on words with this. But then I'm hearing divinity, infinity, mapped into morality. So there's something about this that I'm being called to. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute. We are being invited to let go of this structure that we have bound ourselves to, this ideology or systematic expression of reality, for we are unbinding that experience. Our binders, one might say, have been deflected. We're going to play with this for a moment. We've accessed, and we will continue to access, and we have access to this infinite shape, if you will, of frequency. I'm being shown a lot that I have to just kind of being shown shapes and arrangements. So let me just pull out and refocus. And this is an example. For instance, I am tuning into a field that is beyond my own logical ability, if you will, of analytical ability to transcribe. And this is what we are referring to. For you have this ability to transcribe this information. Yet in this now moment for this particular message is the methodology necessary for you to analyze and to, I'm seeing, extract that particular information for this particular dialogue. And we would venture to say no. For we do not all need to know exactly how it is that reality works, but we are invited to dive in, roll up our sleeves, and become familiar with the multidimensional aspects of reality that we all have access to. And in order to do this, we must step out of the recesses, if you will. We must move out of the analytical, logical landscape that is definitive based on an old mathematical, ideological, logical system. We must expand our nutrition. We must expand where we are getting our nutrition from and how we are interpreting our reality back to the cup half full. For what we see comes from our own projection, and we've spoken on this many times before. Yet it is difficult when you see the world playing out in front of you in a particular format, and it is difficult to see beyond that particular format because we have been conditioned, if you will, smoothed over. We have been conditioned to see things from a perpetual wheel of vibrations and frequencies that keep us on a perpetual wheel. Within this wheel, however, are multiple variations of how we can experience reality. Within this wheel, we can actually perceive with an expanded rotation. So I'm seeing 360 degrees, but there's something about rotation, like turning away from the wheel and recognizing the wheel, but not necessarily being only part of that. And I'm seeing like not being a cog in the wheel allows us to step away from it. We can still participate and interact with it, but we don't have to be stuck in it, so to speak. And this can be equally confusing. For as we step away from that which we have been conditioned to believe, that which we have been conditioned to see, and that which we have mapped into, one might say, or quantified, we become confused oftentimes because we do not recognize what we are seeing, because we have not fine-tuned our senses or tuned in to our senses to recognize what we have found. Many of us are looking over or overlooking that which is right inside of us, that which is right in front of us, that which has been within the whole time. We are seeking to express ourselves in the same way we have expressed ourselves before, because time and time again, that is how it has been done. That is how it has been proposed. Play on words. Okay, when I say the word proposed, it's like I'm seeing marriage, like a proposal, but I'm also seeing an agreement and purposed, like this is what we're going to do, this is what we're proposing, and we've just kind of gone with that. And so how is it that we are able to stop and look within? It is that simple. Stop, look within, feel from within the skin. Yet beyond that interface is where we begin to tap into. For we live beyond the skin. We are living within this reality, and so our perspective that we hold our projection that comes from this particular resource, which is Carrie in this reality as an example, in this dimension, on this existence, which is Earth. This is where we project from, yet our senses go well beyond the norm. Our senses go well beyond the form. We are beyond human, yet we are choosing to experience reality as a human in this form, in this particular time span, in this particular spectrum, in this particular sound wave, in this particular pattern, in this particular reflection of our projection of what we are co-creating together in this reality. So as we tune into the beyond, as we tune into that which is outside of form and we move into formless, we recognize that we are forming the form. And so that which matters becomes more acquiesce, radiant. I'm seeing like we start to care about things that are beyond the form, and then we bring that into the form, and then we express and create that which is the higher realities that many of us are like. Do you ever feel like, I feel like I've been there before? I feel like I've got Andromedan. I feel like I've got Arcturian. I don't know why, but the blue behind me as an example, I see it around me all the time. Some people it's pink. Like I feel connected to that ray of energy. Probably because you are. And then we start to bring through those characteristics. These characteristics do not have to be labeled as a particular timestamp or a particular galactic flavor or a particular dimensional code. Yet we all carry with us codes of dimensional flavors, if you will, and they can be restored in the human template that have been dampened. Oh, I'm hearing dampened and tampered with. Dampered, a portmanteau of that word. I never figured out if I'm pronouncing that right, but for we are just that. We are a hybrid. We are beings of the highest frequencies and energies that have bred into, if you will, this reality, this skin suit, this template, and divine structure that has taken its form in matter, as a matter of fact, in a factual form as a human. But many of us have fallen into the ensnarement, if you will, or the entrapment of the human, of form, of recognizing that the only thing that matters is matter. And again, we invite you to step beyond that particular pattern, that particular ideology, that particular conformation, if you will, and letting go of conforming into a particular human experience, opening to the latter. That's a play on words, like the other experience and the ladder that goes up. Yet this ladder does not just go up, if you will, it changes, it morphs. It is a human code that is ever mapping, if you will, ever co-creating, ever evolving, if you wish to call it that. And so we would invite you to feel into what is it that you feel called to experience, to express, to move towards, to move out into, to allow yourself to feel the bigger, more expansive variations of you, the variance, if you will, the varied degrees of revelations, the varying degrees of exaltations, excitations, frequency expansive, conductivity that is beyond the material reality that many of us have zipped ourselves into. I'm seeing a zip file, like human suit, we're zipped into it. Have you guys ever seen the movie Cocoon? I always like that, where there's like, I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but it's a really good movie. It's old but classic. What is old really? What does that mean? That movie's ageless. We'll put it that way. We would invite everybody to step out of conforming to an old whatever it is, fill in the blanks. I'm hearing that song, same as it ever was. Oh, Talking Heads. And the days go by, same as it ever was. It's not the same. Everything's different. Yet, simultaneously, it all goes back to that oneness, that original blueprint, that frequency of love. And so as we tune into these transmissions, we invite you to stay open to your own transitions, to feel into your lens of perception. I'm seeing transitional lenses. To your own lens of perception, to your own frequency observation, play on words, observing our frequency, recognize and acknowledge, where am I? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And if you don't have the answers, that's okay. Just recognize and acknowledge. Tuning into our own observations allows us to observe with synchronization, syncing up to the new time. I'm hearing divergence, convergence, and I'm seeing splicing. So we're kind of splicing different things into this new way of interpreting our reality. For we carry with us codes of regeneration and reactivation, and we carry with us codes of remembrance, and we carry with us codes of creativity, and so on and so forth. And so we are opening or accessing these bundles, and through, I'm hearing neurogenetics. This is a play on words, it's not necessarily literal. I'm being called to open that bundle. I'll come back to that in a minute. I just pulled it up, so I'm going to look at it in a second. Through neurogenetics, through our bundles, we have access to the codes that we have programmed into the code. As a, for instance, artificiality or artificial reality, or the intelligence that makes up this particular language, is created through our own template and language. And even though it feels as if it is expanding far beyond our own template or our own ability to understand reality, we would invite you to tune into more of your own inner sanctum. Allow yourself to feel into your sanctuary within that allows you to dive into the new way of being a human. And I'm hearing inner action. So while we may be contemplating our divinity, we would also invite you to look at, to observe reality as the divinity that you are. For you are that which is interwoven through this density, through this programming, and through this frequency that humanity is all part of. We would invite you to see through the construct, the construction, the mess, essentially, that is disbanding and yet also chaotically scrambling the signals that are actually being fired in the human all of the time. Play on words. We are calling to you through this soup. We are calling to you through this suit. We are calling to you as you, brethren and sisters, that are connected into the template of reality that is the higher spectrum, that is the realms that all of you are templated through, the higher brain power, if you will, the heart-centered connectivity that allows the brain and neural activity to light up. This can only happen through increased sensitivity and awareness. This can only happen as you allow your own inner sensitivities to expand out into multidimensionality and other realities that are part of the human dialect, dial-up, platform, template structure. And grounding this into the physicality that is the reality that all of us or all of you are connected to and through and are choosing to co-create with. So I'm being called to look up neurogenetics because I don't know what that is. I mean, obviously genetics and neurology, but I'm on AI overview on Google. is a field that combines neurology and genetics to study the role of genes in the development and function of the nervous system. It explores how genes influence the nervous system structure and how genetic variations can lead to neurological disorders. So what did they use? The word bundle. So neurogenetics investigates how genes affect the development of neurons and glial cells and how these cells organize into the nervous system. It also helps understand the genetic causes of conditions such as autism, spectrum disorder, development delay, and intellectual disability. I would venture to say here, by the way, I do not see autism as a disability, Parkinson's, spectrum disorder, these sorts of things. There's something bigger with this. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to go with this, but maybe another video perhaps. So let me just kind of end on this note. Let us bundle this all together and share that the research that is about to hit the fan, so to speak, that is about to fan out, like little synapses firing in different modes of service. We are coming into this new age because we are ready for this. We are templated for this. We are part of a greater movement, if you will. And this allows us to develop beyond the spectrum of reality that we have boxed ourselves into in the past. We are moving out of these boxes and, let us say, elongating, I'm seeing a rectangle, elongating them into a bigger frequency range. And yes, we still have boundaries, so to speak, from one perspective. Yet some of us have yet to even step out of the little box to step into the bigger box, to feel into that field. And recognizing that is key to us dissolving the illusion and recognizing the new that is available to us, that is illuminating our trajectory, our path into the new reality. And we are the illuminators. We are the ones who are lighting the way. We must do this from the inside out, and we must put on display this inner energy template. We do this through expressing ourselves with as much currency, with as much value as possible, not from the dissension of the ego, that's plan words, not from going into this long explanation of how or why we are doing what we are doing. Yet doing, I'm hearing service in action, doing this because we are guided to, because we feel fulfilled, because it allows us to feel renewed, to feel expressive and expansive. It allows us to feel resilient. We feel compelled to feel more. And as we feel more, we enhance the spectrum, the field that allows us to reciprocate back and forth in this exchange of reality, within this expand and expanse ability. This gives us a higher rate of percussion, play on words. It gives us a higher rate of expansion, a broader band of expression. And this allows us to create, inform more, and I'm hearing more ratios, more fluids, more fluidity. And this keeps us entangled from, I'm hearing, disentangled from the old reality. Yet entanglement is what it is. So we can see the past and not be burdened by it. This is key. We see it, we observe it, we feel it, yet we do not need to carry it around with us. We can essentially create a signal that allows it to move beyond or back or dissolve to where it needs to go so that we can grow, so that we can let go. And I'm seeing like a scuba diver that's got like they're carrying something up from the ocean floor, but it's too heavy. And what I'm being shown is basically like we have to hang on to that. It could be something that we've never seen before. It's kind of like, remember the Indiana Jones movie, was it The Last Crusaders, where she's like, I have to get the cup, and then she dies. Spoiler alert, sorry. But, she's like, I'm going to get the Holy Grail or whatever it's called. And he's like, no, let it go. The Holy Grail is within. I'm getting goosebumps. So it's like some of the stuff that we've been hanging on to explain or to look for, these buried treasures, we are that. We are the treasure we've been looking for. So the more we can come into that place of playfulness and being like, well, what does that treasure look like? What does it feel like? What if I could do this? What would, that's really important. Using our imagination so that we don't keep recycling. It allows us to, again, I just keep seeing us as scuba divers lifting up, and we might, as we're going up, we might see around us the stuff that's being dropped, is what I'm being shown. The stuff that's kind of coming to the bottom, it's all around us. Ooh, I'm being shown, I'm getting goosebumps. So it's like falling down, it's sinking, right? It's still in the ocean, but we're kind of bobbing and weaving and moving up to the surface. And I'm being shown also the reference to a scuba diver not acclimating too fast. Sometimes we might have to pause and see if any of that stuff is still attached to our fins, right? I did some snorkeling, so I'm in scuba diver mode, but my guides like to use that as a reference. Like, what are we hanging on to? Do we want that ankle weight when we're diving? In the beginning, we needed it so that we didn't get lost in the current. But now it's only moving up. So we've got to let that go at some point so we can, I'm being shown get back to the boat. But when I say get back to the boat, I'm hearing Kaaba, and I'm seeing that reference to the Egyptian boat. So what are we taking with us? Bright light as a feather. So this allows us to feel freer, and it allows us to see more. And then once we get our head above water, we recognize it's just another variation, and we can go, well, what is this? I don't remember this, or and explore differently. So I could go on and on. I'm going to end on this note. Thank you so much for tuning in. In love and light. Namaste.